All right, what's happening, everybody? So, little bit of a mess going on here, but I have flat sanded the paint almost as much as I'm gonna flat sand the paint. Now, what you can see, I got the lighting just right. See the specklies there? See them in here? You'll see them along this edge right here, and then you'll see them around there. I got a bunch right through here. I got a bunch right along here, Okay, and then in other places you'll notice that there are no specklies at all. So all that means is that the light is reflecting to the camera off of those speckled areas. When I spray this with clear coat, that is what the light will be reflecting off of. So you do not have to sand all the specklies out of your paint. You just want to sand it so that it's completely flat. You'll see that the places where I have the most specklies is going to be anywhere that there's an edge, and that's going to be because that's the easiest place to sand through your paint. If you're sanding across this edge right here, this paper wants to just rake away the paint on this edge. So when I wet sand this, I come right up close to the edge of it. You'll even see it's got like a dry line right there where there's no water from when I'm wet sanding. And I'll do the whole guitar, and then like as a last pass when I come across, I just ever so lightly come across that line. I don't come all the way out. I don't sand all the way out like this. I just ever so slightly break that line, and that is just so that the paper runs this over and removes any high, little specks of paint. And I want to remove all those so that when I clear coat and then I flat sand the clear coat, I don't sand into any color. I just want it to be just like a sheet of clear across there. But here's that white plastic foamy stuff that I use. It's like squishy, and I picked like the factory side of it that's got like a skin on it, and it's nice and flat. And I take my paper and I wrap my paper around. I do not fold the paper because I want these corners to be rounded, not square. I'll put a little bit of water on there, and I will do this area right here just to show you how quickly this is going to cut that down. And I'm going to stay away from the very, very edge. I don't want to sand off the edge. Kind of an awkward spot because I can either sand off of the bevel edge or I can sand off of the pickup edge right there. So I don't want to sand the paint away and cut through the paint on this edge or on this edge. But now that I've cut the paint, I can see it's got like yellow paint in the water. Then I just do a very light. I have hardly any pressure on there at all. Just a very light pass, and that's paint that I'm pulling off of there, right? So you want to be conscious of the fact that you're removing paint from your project. Okay, look at that. Speckles are gone. Not that I care. I'm leaving this alone. I will not sand this anymore. It doesn't need it. All I'm going to do at this point is run the risk of sanding through somewhere. I've already got a little bit of an issue right here. There must have been some dust or something in the paint, because when I ran it over, I pulled it out. Whatever it was, I pulled it out right there, and right there. All 3 spots. So I can just lightly shoot that one spot. That's not a big deal. I don't have to reshoot the whole thing. But I have to shoot that spot, and then I gotta wait. And then I gotta wait. And then I gotta wait. So after a couple days, the paint will be hard enough for me to blend that together. The way I do that is I just re-sand that area that I just had to touch up, and I make sure I sand the edge where the new paint runs into the old paint. So I won't even tape. I won't tape this off. I'll just spray this one little section and let the overspray spread out, and then I'll sand it all. I'll sand it all smooth again, and then it won't even be visible. And there's an example of that in this horn right here. See it? See that spot right there, right under my finger? So that is a spot where I have sanded through the top coat, and that's the coat underneath. Now, if I leave this sit for a couple days, this paint will darken, and it should darken down to what you see right there. Now don't forget, because I'm wet sanding, I have broken the skin on the paint, and I've laid a lot of water on this guitar, which is why you'll see right there. Not worried about it because the bridge will cover it. But all these little holes in the guitar, they're going to absorb water. They're all going to suck the water in, which causes the wood to swell, which means when you run it over with your sandpaper, it wants to cut that paint away. You can see that one. I've sanded away more paint than I would have liked to because it swelled. But on that one, luckily, the scratch plate will cover that. I'm not worried about it. And I gotta reshoot this anyway, so I'll probably just shoot this whole middle right here. And then when I sand it, you got to just keep wiping the moisture off. Sand it, wipe it off. You know, as much as you can. Even stay away from the holes, and then as like your last pass, just kind of run it over very quickly. You could even run it over dry if you can wet sand right up and right around that, and then wipe off all your moisture, and then your last pass you can do dry, and that will take down any of the high paint. Now I could flip this guitar over and I could wet sand the whole back of the guitar, but as I'm sanding, I'm introducing a lot of moisture back into the paint. Now I can't tell by touching it, but I can smell it. So it's starting to smell like wet paint again. Instead of me flipping this over and working on the back of it, I'm going to hang it up, and it's going to sit there and it's going to dry. It's not going to dry like wet paint for 3 or 4 days. It's going to dry like it's got moisture, water in it. So it's just going to hang for like a day. And the reason for that is because the amount of water that has been introduced into this paint could soften the paint. And we don't want that. So we're going to hang it up. We're going to let it dry. Then tomorrow we'll be able to flip it over, and we're going to start doing the back. Now the back of this is how the front of it felt. And this feels like the texture of maybe This is a 800, and it's about the texture of 800. Let's see. Yeah, it's rougher than the 1000. So this is about the same texture as the 800 paper, which is why I used 800. If you want to be safer, go with a higher grit. If it feels like it's 1000 grit paper, then use 1500 to sand it down. If you're not practiced at sanding, otherwise you're going to wind up having problems where you sand through. So, just a little piece of advice there. Remove less material makes you way less likely to sand through. So let me get this guy hung up. And then tomorrow we'll sand the back. In fact, yeah, I'm going to hang it and I'm going to wait 24 hours before I even shoot this again. What I'll do is I'll hang it up. I'll sand the whole back of it. And then I'll hang it up. And then I'll shoot this area right here. And then I can probably sand it after 2 days or so. And then we're going to do some black down here so that it looks like this. So it'll have a black fade up to probably around where the string through is. So it'll go all black and then it'll fade to yellow. It'll be all yellow. And then when you get up to the neck, it's still yellow and it fades back to black. That's my plan. I really like this yellow. This is a really masculine yellow. It looks cool. It's almost gold. There is silver or chrome hardware on this. I think if it were gold hardware, I think it would be too... I don't think it would look good. I have some gold stuff in there. I'll lay some gold covers on here and I'll see, but I think it would be too much. So I think we're going to wind up keeping it chrome and black with the black and yellow. But that's where we're at. But, hurry up and wait. All right, that's all I got for this one, guys. We'll talk to you soon.